You could hear the rain hammering the glass doors as the man in the expensive suit stepped into the small coffee shop. His shoes were polished, his watch gleamed, and his eyes looked like they'd seen the world, but not in the way that mattered. He didn't belong there, and everyone could tell, but what no one knew, especially the nervous young cashier behind the counter, was that this man wasn't just any customer. That he was about to sign a $200 million deal that very morning, and before he did, one tiny act of kindness, by a stranger earning $12 an hour, was about to change everything. Before we dive into this story, if you love real stories about the power of kindness, hit that subscribe button and join our community here on Kindness in Action. Don't forget to like this video if it touches your heart, and comment below with your own story or thoughts about kindness. You never know whose life your words might touch. The story begins on a gray Thursday morning in Seattle, the kind of morning where the clouds sit heavy over the city, and the air smells like wet pavement and espresso. Inside the little cafe on Pine Street, a new cashier named Emily was just finishing her first week on the job. She was 23, fresh out of college, and trying her best to stay positive even though her rent was late and her car was barely hanging on. Her smile, though, was effortless, warm and real, the kind that made regulars come back just to see it. It was 7:45 a.m. when he walked in. A tall man, mid-50s, gray hair, perfectly styled, tailored coat, and the kind of confidence that said, "I make decisions that change companies." His name was Robert Hale, CEO of a billion-dollar construction firm, but to Emily, he was just the guy in the expensive coat, who looked like he didn't have time for small talk. Robert stepped up to the counter, barely glancing at the menu. "Large black coffee," he said flatly, eyes still on his phone. Emily smiled. "Coming right up," she said with her usual cheer. But when she reached for the coffee pot, it slipped from her hand. Hot coffee splashed across the counter and onto the floor. Her cheeks flushed red. "Oh no. I'm so sorry, sir. It's my first week. I'll clean it up right away." Robert didn't even look up from his phone. "It's fine," he muttered, clearly not meaning it. Emily grabbed a towel and knelt to wipe up the mess. Her manager shot her a look that said, "Get it together." She finished the cleanup, brewed a new cup, and carefully handed it over. "Here you go, sir," she said softly. "On the house. My treat for the trouble." Robert looked up, surprised. "You don't have to do that." "I know," she said, "but I want to. Everyone deserves a fresh start, especially on a rainy morning." He blinked at her. For a split second, his expression softened. Then he nodded once, took the coffee, and walked to a corner table. Robert opened his laptop and stared at the screen. There it was, the final draft of a merger agreement worth $200 million. That he was supposed to meet his business partner, David, in 20 minutes to sign it. It would make them both richer. But lately, Robert wasn't sure that mattered. He'd built his company from the ground up. He'd worked 16-hour days, skipped vacations, and missed birthdays, his wife's, his daughter's, his own, and for what? He was surrounded by people who called him sir, but never really saw him. As he sipped his coffee, he watched Emily help an older woman count out change for her muffin. The woman's hands shook, and Emily gently said, "Don't worry, ma'am. Take your time." Then Emily quietly slipped $1 into the register from her own tip jar so the woman wouldn't have to put anything back. Robert noticed. The woman thanked her softly, eyes wet with gratitude. Emily just smiled and said, "You have a good morning, okay?" Robert felt something tighten in his chest, something he hadn't felt in a long time. He thought about how long it had been since someone did something kind for him with no strings attached. 10 minutes later, David stormed into the cafe, expensive suit, Bluetooth headset, all business. "There you are," David said. "I've been calling you. Let's go sign this deal." Robert closed his laptop but didn't stand up. "In a minute." David frowned. "A minute? Robert, this is it. We've been chasing this deal for months." Robert nodded slowly. "I know." But his eyes were on Emily, who was now laughing with a little boy as she drew a smiley face on his hot chocolate cup with a marker. Something about that tiny act of joy hit him harder than the caffeine ever could. David sighed. "Robert, are you seriously hesitating? This merger triples our market share." Robert looked back at his friend. "Do you ever stop to think what we're building, David? Or who we're becoming? David scoffed. We're becoming successful, that's who. Look, sign the papers, and we'll celebrate tonight. Emily approached the table then, carrying a napkin and a cookie. Sir, she said kindly to Robert, you forgot your receipt, but I thought you might need this more. She placed the cookie on the table. It was shaped like a heart, frosted pink. Robert chuckled lightly. You're giving away cookies now? Emily shrugged. You looked like you needed something sweet. Life's too short to be all business, you know? David rolled his eyes. That's cute, he said. But we really need to, and that's when it happened. Emily noticed the papers on the table, the contract with bold letters, Hale Construction Merger Agreement. Her eyes widened. Oh. You're Robert Hale? He nodded, surprised. You've heard of me? My dad used to work for Hale Construction, she said softly. Before the layoffs last year. He was a foreman for 15 years. Robert's smile faded. Oh, he said quietly. I'm sorry. That must have been hard. Emily nodded but kept her smile. It was. But he always said you were one of the good ones, that you built that company from nothing. He still respects you. Robert swallowed hard. How's he doing now? Not great, she said honestly. But he says everything happens for a reason. We'll be okay. Then she added something that stopped him cold. You know, my dad always said people remember kindness longer than success. I think he's right. Robert stared at her, speechless. David tapped the table impatiently. Robert, let's go. Enough small talk. But Robert's mind was spinning. He looked from Emily's kind eyes to the contract in front of him. The deal he was about to sign would close 2 factories, lay off over 1,000 workers, and ship operations overseas. It was good business, but terrible humanity. Emily, not knowing any of this, was already back behind the counter helping another customer, but her words echoed in his head. People remember kindness longer than success. Robert closed the laptop slowly. David, he said, voice calm but firm. I'm not signing this. David blinked. What are you talking about? I said I'm not signing it. It's the wrong trick. The wrong what? David snapped. Robert smiled faintly, repeating Emily's exact words from earlier. It's the wrong trick. We're chasing numbers, not people. And I'm done with that. He stood, dropped a $100 bill in the tip jar, and looked at Emily. Thank you, he said quietly. For reminding me what matters. Emily looked confused but smiled anyway. Sure. You have a great day, sir. He walked out into the rain, coat unbuttoned, coffee in hand. For the first time in years, he didn't rush to his car or check his phone. He just stood there, breathing in the cold air, feeling free. A month later, Hale Construction announced